They won't always test you with obvious hate. Sometimes the test is subtle. A delayed reply, a fake smile, a passive-aggressive jab that sounds like a joke but hits like a knife, and you feel it, in your chest, in your gut. That quick spike of emotion, anger, shame, doubt. And without realizing it, you're pulled into their energy. You're defending, explaining, overthinking. You're no longer in command, you're in reaction. But the Stoics trained for this. They weren't just calm, they were armed. Not with revenge, with response. They knew people would provoke, manipulate, disrespect, not because you're weak, but because they're testing what you're made of. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the foundation of emotional armor. Not to feel nothing, but to let nothing own you. Because life will test you through people, through their tone, through their silence, through moments designed to trigger you into becoming someone you never agreed to be. But here's the truth. They don't test you to see your weakness. They test you to see if you know your strength. And if you haven't built that armor, every little poke will pull you off course. Not anymore. It's time to forge the mindset that doesn't just survive these tests. It transforms through them. If you don't build emotional armor, the world will build buttons and push them. You'll find yourself apologizing for things you didn't do, explaining your boundaries like they're negotiable, and spending hours thinking about one sentence someone said with a smirk. That's what happens when you live unarmored. Your peace becomes public property. Anyone can enter. Anyone can rearrange it. Anyone with an attitude, a bad day, or a wounded ego can own you, without even touching you. But the Stoics didn't allow that. They didn't wait to be triggered to train. They trained before the world could touch them. Every insult, every failure, every rejection, they treated it as a sharpening stone, not a wound, a weapon. Emotional armor isn't numbness, it's presence. It's being so centered in your values, your mission, and your code, that no outside opinion can rearrange your inner compass. It's the pause between emotion and action. It's the ability to feel anger, but not let it drive. To feel hurt, but not beg for healing from the one who caused it. To feel disrespected and choose dignity over drama. That's power, not in volume, in response. The untrained mind thinks silence is weakness. The Stoic knows silence is strategy, because not reacting isn't losing. It's winning without playing a game that was never worth your energy. And every time you do it, every time you choose command over chaos, you layer your armor. You strengthen your peace. You become less touchable and more dangerous. If this feels like it's speaking directly to a part of you you've ignored for too long, good. That means you're finally done with living on emotional autopilot, because you weren't made to be easily moved. You weren't built to be emotionally hijacked every time someone disrespects you. You were built for composure, for clarity, for power that doesn't need to shout to be felt. And if you're tired of second-guessing yourself, of replaying arguments that should have never started, of shrinking just to keep the peace, then it's time. Time to stop letting people train you how to feel. Time to stop letting chaos drag you into reaction. Time to train your mind like a warrior prepares for battle before it even begins. Because that's what we do here. We don't scroll for hype. We build, we train, we sharpen. So if you're ready to stop breaking every time someone tests your boundaries and start fortifying your mental armor, subscribe. Not for more information, for more intention. To reset, to refocus, to re-enter your day with the posture of someone who does not get pulled off course by weak energy. We're not here to react, we're here to lead. So how do you build emotional armor? Not by pretending you don't feel, not by thinking positive, but by training response like a skill. Here's the Stoic method, sharpened over centuries, still undefeated. 1. Expect the test. Don't wait to be blindsided, plan for it. People will test your limits, your silence, your tolerance. So prepare. Start your day expecting resistance and decide in advance how you'll respond. Pre-decided restraint is real power. 2. Practice the pause. Emotion rises fast. Anger, ego, insecurity. But before you speak, move, text, or post, pause. Even 3 seconds is enough to stop emotional hijacking. Epictetus said, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize your mind is complicit. You don't owe anyone your first reaction. You owe yourself a chance to choose the second one. 3. Reframe disrespect. Someone mocks you, tries to bait you. Stop making it personal. It's not about you. It's a mirror of their discipline, not a reflection of your worth. The Stoic doesn't internalize disrespect. He studies it, then discards it. 4. Set internal standards. You don't need people to treat you right for you to treat yourself with dignity. Armor is built when your self-respect doesn't bend to other people's chaos. You don't rise to disrespect. You rise above it. 5. End every day with mental recovery. Reflect. What shook you? What did you respond to out of impulse? What could have stayed beneath you, but didn't? This is where the real fortifying happens, in the quiet debrief. Because the Stoic doesn't just survive tests, he learns from them. And that learning becomes the next layer of armor. Something changes when your reactions are no longer available for free. People notice, not because you've become aggressive, but because you've become unavailable to nonsense. You don't explain yourself to everyone. You don't respond to every jab. You don't feel obligated to fix other people's discomfort with your boundaries. Because now, you wear armor, not to block love, but to filter nonsense. And the more you train, the more you realize, you're not cold, you're clear. You're not passive, you're precise. You're not emotionless, you're emotionally trained. This is what the Stoics mastered. When someone tried to insult them, they didn't spiral. They observed, they examined, and if it wasn't useful, they discarded it like trash at their feet. Not because they were above it, because they were beyond it. And you know what happens when you live like that? Your presence sharpens. People step differently around you, not out of fear, out of respect. You're no longer ruled by their tone, by their silence, by their fake praise or fake concern. You've broken the contract that says, I need your approval to stay centered. And that's when emotional armor becomes something deeper. It becomes identity. You are no longer moved by the noise because you've learned to protect the signal. Now you know the truth. It's not about being tough, it's about being trained. Most people crumble not because life is hard, but because they never built internal defense against soft attacks. The eye rolls, the cold shoulders, the guilt trips masked as advice, the silence that speaks louder than any insult. The Stoics didn't fight every battle. They filtered them, not because they were weak, but because they were wise. They knew that dignity isn't proven in arguments, it's enforced in silence. And when your mind becomes your stronghold, you stop needing the world to play nice just so you can stay calm. You stop dancing for clarity. You stop begging for fairness. You stop over-explaining your peace like it needs permission. Because once your armor is in place, you don't just survive people's tests. You teach them who they're dealing with. You become a mirror. They either adjust or they walk away confused by how little power they had over you. And that is the real test you pass, when their storm hits and you don't even flinch. So now ask yourself, how many of your emotional reactions are still being triggered by people you should have stopped giving that kind of access to